Hello, this is Petros from Expansion Talk, and I will be reviewing chapter 1009 from One Piece titled Hell. Hell. We also have this week a color spread with all of the straw hats. It is a picture where they are in Winter Island, and it's probably a village there because we see a small house behind them. And there are all the Straw Hats and guys from Wano. So it's Tama, the little Tanuki that Tama had in her house. And we also see the dog there that is in Wano. And they are all there together. Zoro is drinking booze. Frankie's drinking cola. They're making it's snowing, and they are all making like small statues, or there are there already some statues, and they put hats on them. And so one of them is missing the last one, and we see Tama that has taken Luffy's hat and is going to put it on the last one. And Nami is putting scarves behind to the other side. On the statue, Brook is playing music, Jinbe is eating the rice thing, and Sanji is smiling, Usopp as well. And it's a nice picture. And so it's like the title, it's inspired by a cover page request by Honey Nameko's request. The Straw Hat, so Tama and Komatillo, put Amigasa hats on Jizo statues to shelter them from the rain. Well, it's not rain, it's snow, but okay. So in the castle interior, in the actual chapter, there is a big fire there, and we see soldiers of Kaido trying to put it out. And there, nearby, Kinemon and the group encounters Orochi, and Orochi is with the leader of the ninja group that protected him. I don't remember his name right now, but he is with him, with the big head, you know. And so Kinemon is like Orochi, and Orochi is surprised and a bit kind of scared by me because his nose is running, and a bit kind of scared, and he's like Kinemon. And so they're like, Orochi tells them that he laughs at them, and he's like, okay, so you're what's left from the Kozuki clan. So the truth about Kanjuro must have come as a shock, right? And he continues and he says, I admit, I was also shocked by you, Kyoshiro. And he laughs and he says, I suppose that makes us even. And we see Kiyoshiro staring at him. So he transforms into the Hydra, into the Yamata no Orochi thing, the snakes with a lot of heads, and he's like, you have dead failures, don't frighten me. I'm going to consume you and put an end to your misery. You ghosts will pay for haunting me for over the last 20 years. And we see the scabbards, we see Kinemon, they don't answer. And we see Kinemon drawing his sword, and in the next panel, we see all together Kinemon and all the others that cut one head of Orochi's form at the same time. And we see lots of heads going all the way. And they're like, we don't have time to spend on the likes of you, and you'll be just in hell. And so we see Orochi's head on the ground as they leave. But his protector, like from the leader of the ninja group, stays behind, and so does Raijo. And he's like, I'm surprised, Fukuro Guju. So that's his name. You show such devotion to a dead fool. I could say the same thing about you all, he says. He responds to that. So he continues, we were fated to class before we ever chose sides. You know that, Raizo. And so we cut to Onigashima at the rooftop, and where the fight continues with the two emperors and the worst generation. And we see Big Mom saying, Kaido, let's try a combined attack. I wonder how many of the five will survive. Mama, mama, mama. And she laughs. And so um, they're like, Kid is telling Law, he's telling Trafalgar, can't you use your powers to send one of them away? I would have done it already if I could. And he says, their haki is too strong. I can't move them directly. So Kid says, fine, we'll just tear them apart. And as this conversation takes place, we see in the next panel that Kaido and Big Mom are preparing to shoot an attack with their weapons lifted up, and it's like Luffy says, "Heads up, they're gonna do something big." And it's like, "I hope you can still swing that, Hag." Kaido tells Big Mom, and she says, "Who do you think you're talking to, you brat?" And so Zoro is saying they throw the attack, and Zoro says, "This is insane." Those are very cool panels to me because the lighting is different. And so they throw the attack, and Killer says, "We won't be able to dodge." And they call this attack Ocean Sovereignty. Sovereignty. And but the attack stops. It's a huge attack. It's like a big explosion from both of their weapons, but the attack stops. The two emperors are like, what? And we see we see Kaido in the panel and Zoro in the panel in the middle, and Big Mom, and it's like Zoro is standing between them and their attack. And he says he blocked, so it's Zoro that blocked the attack, and he tells the others, all of you run. Luffy shouts at Zoro, and he says, we can't let them wipe us out. And so they are all dodging. We see Kid, we see Luffy, Law, Killer, and we see Zoro struggling to sustain the attack, his position. And at last, we see the attack, a huge attack, a huge beam going on the top, outside of the island. It's bigger even than the island, the attack, and it goes beyond the island. And there are a lot of rocks falling. We see damaged territory in the circular way like that. And Kaido is like, I can still sense their voices. Impressive, says Big Mom. They managed to get away. And Law talks to Zoro, and he's like, Zoro, yeah, you're still with us? And Kid tells him, not bad, your block bought us some time, thanks. And Killer's like, where's Straw Hat? And we see Luffy, he's going already for an attack, and he's like, Gomu Gomu no, and he goes to use Red Hawk, and he's like, Red? And he throws the attack, and Kaido dodges. And Luffy laughs at this, and he says, why are you dodging, Kaido? Is it because it would hurt? And Kaido looks at him, and he goes for an attack himself with his cannibal. And Luffy puts Haki in his arms like this, and he doesn't dodge. He tanks the attack. He gets hit, and he gets thrown away, far away to the rocks. And we see him in the next panel, his hands, it's like when he was fighting Katakuri, when Katakuri hit him, his hands were aching like this. And he's like, he's doing like this with his arms. And Kaido goes for another attack, but this time he's going to shoot like a laser or some fire breath like he does in Boro breath from his mouth, right? And so he opens his mouth very much, very big, and he throws a beam from his mouth. Luffy dodges, but then Kaido jumps, and he has a huge tail behind him. Kaido jumps, and he's swirling around above his head while he is in the air. He's cannibal, and Luffy's on the ground. He sees that, and Kaido's like, three realms, Ragnarok, and he hits Luffy on the ground, breaking the ground behind underneath him, and almost burying him. Very powerful attack. And Zoro calls him, and he tells Luffy, and then we see a box, a metallic box, made with the boxes with the scraps that Kid had brought. And Law is creating a room, and he uses symbols. And then Big Mom is standing there, and she's like, "What are they up to?" But then Zeus, which is in like next to her, disappears, and he gets inside that box, that metallic box. He says, "Oh, it's so dark here. Where am I?" And so Killer and Zoro are going to cooperate, and the Killer is like, "Ready, Zoro? Ready, Roronoa?" And Zoro is like, "I have to be," and he goes and cuts Prometheus, on which Big Mom is standing, in half, right? And Killer at the same time goes and attacks Napoleon, the sword. So Big Mom falls on the ground. Uh, Zoro is still cuts again Prometheus, and he tells him, "You're not allowed to reform." And he uses flame slides, crossroads of the six paths, and he cuts him in very small pieces. And at the same time, Killer is using his slicers to attack continuously Napoleon, the sword. And Big Mom, she swears at them, and we also see from one panel down to the next, Napoleon, Prometheus, which is cut in half, and Zeus, which is inside the box. And Kid attacks Big Mom. He says, "Punk pistols," and he throws some arrows at her. And but those arrows, of course, because he has a very good haki, do not affect her. They just deflect on her body. And she goes on and she punches from above Kid, and she's like, do you really think, you whelps, that getting rid of them would allow you to beat me?" And she punches Kid, and Kid gets hit very, very hard. He bleeds a lot, but then he he assigns, kind of, he with metallic arms, with metallic scrap, her arm, and he's like, "Repel." And so Big Mom gets thrown up in the sky, and then Law uses tact, and he uses a rock to hit Big Mom, and he hits her, and he's like, she's like, "You numbskulls, what's the point of hitting me with a builder?" And we see the big builder and the Big Mom on each other side, that is getting thrown away from the rooftop of Onigashima. And we see her falling. She's falling to the sea, and she like curses, "There's nothing but ocean below. Zeus, help!" And Lo is like, "Zeus can't save you now." And of course, we see in the panel Zeus. He's using his thunderbolts. We see thunderbolts coming out of the metallic box, and he's like, "Mama, mama." Zoro is coughing, Big Mom is falling, and this is the end of the chapter 1009. And so Law says in the last text bubble, he says, "It's time for you to drop out." So this is a chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.